All right, so okay, also we're no longer doing a music-based thing, so I can actually turn music on. Can turn music on very quietly, apparently. Let's turn it up a little bit. Okay, that looks. I think that looks good. I've still never worked out, like in any detail, what range of audio levels is good for the music. So basically, someone came into the speedrunning Discord the other day and asked a question basically about, okay, what has been done in terms of routing a run to, say, rank 3 faction gear? To which I gave an absolute ton of answers, none of which had an actual route. Basically, like, there's something I've kind of thought about. It's something, because I did that one run a while back, which was, it wasn't quite the same thing. I thought it was getting to level 35. It turns out it was getting all rank 3 faction gear. But basically, yeah, it was taking a look at... Yeah, the question was, okay, what is the fastest you can get to rank 3 faction gear? And what routes exist for it? And the answer was, I did that one run, and I kind of thought a lot about that stuff, kind of on the fly. I kind of tried to make the best routes I could with what I had. Love that little bug up there. But I didn't have everything. And I by no means had a refined route, and I also wasn't actually 100% certain what it was I was going for. So, hence, today, just going through, and I mean, this will not just be today, but I wanted to start taking a look at that question. What is the fastest way of getting rank 3 faction gear? My main decision, which I need to make, which I haven't thought about yet. Well, I've thought about, but I haven't decided on an answer to yet, is faction. Because there are two options. One of those is to go eventually for the speed boost. The other is to go Space Ranger, Sentinel Space Ranger, because that's like possibly the best early game fighting class, and we are going to need to do a lot of grinding. Because, yeah, it was on the order of 1,500 faction tokens in total, in order to get just, I think I'm remembering that correctly. It was something like that in order to get just one rank 3 class. So, there's, yeah, it's rather expensive. Oh, I don't make that jump often, so always nice when that does happen. So yeah, basically I wanted to take a look. Really? I know. And that was all of the hard stuff of an ideal any percent Venture Explorer run without... So I guess that's the first thing to take a look at. Is it worth spending the time in VE to get myself these? I don't. It's like 20 U score, 10 U score. I think the answer's no. I think there are easier ways we can get that later on in the game. Don't think there's any sense in which that's worth it. So let's just go on. All right. So, I mean, I guess that. So I've got a notepad document up on another screen here. My very, very, very old second monitor, which I have not used in ages, and it's good memories. Good memories. But yes, first note is, I think, VE any percent. I don't think there's any reason to Adventure Explorer in any more detail. I'm thinking health flags. I'm thinking don't go out of my way to get them. To do, but that also works. Yeah, I think because that's the only real health flag I can't get whilst getting progress towards another mission, and that's like what, a second. Like realistically, actually, I don't know. Maybe some of the monument health flags are kind of out of the way. Like, my monument route is pretty optimized. And again, I don't know. So I mean, let's check this. Like, this is not going to be. I'm going to try as many of the strats I'm suggesting as possible. This isn't itself a speedrun, so let's. Vanguard's Flag Hunter. Okay, so that's not worth doing. Not worth doing for the XP alone. And is it worth it? Because it's own. Okay, it depends. We'll see how efficiently those can be collected in the monument. Because like early game doesn't matter. Early game, I can go down here during the 15 Stromling's achievement. That's mission. That's fine. Yeah, like that doesn't lose me any time, really. I mean, maybe technically you could argue like reduced spawn rates compared to other places, but I don't think it loses me that much. And it is, depending on how efficient the monument can be, that is nearly free 20U score, which, like, it's mostly just in the fact that it doesn't take too long to get it, which is my main. Like, it would have taken a little while to go and get all of the rocket parts. Like, that does take several minutes. As long as the detour to get the flags and the monument doesn't take that long, I'm happy with it. I think that's reasonable. So yeah, things which are important, things which are the limiting factors in this challenge: U score and faction tokens. Those are going to be the two major limiting factors in this. Simply because U score, there are no renewable methods of getting it aside from daily missions, which not really much of an option, especially in any kind of real-time speedrun. So, alright, like the Avant Garden's early game is going to be mostly identical. To basically any other run I do. The question is, do I go for Quixicles? Do I want to say that this whole run I'm going to be using Quixicles? I'm not going to for now. I'm going to keep track of how much money I have and how much money I need. I think it's going to be my plan. I'm not going to go hardcore LU on this, but I will use hardcore LU strats just to keep track of stuff like money. But yeah, I think basically I don't want to begin I don't want to throw away money if I don't have to. That was bad. So yeah, we'll see whether or not journey times are genuinely something that gets quite significant. If they get sufficiently problematic, then we always have other options. Okay, technically I'm not optimizing this for the optimal. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. The optimal way of going through this is coming down here, going back and forth between the two mechs here. I'm not going to do quite yet because I see a Maelstrom brick up there. And so yeah, early game. Here, Maelstrom bricks tend to be a limiting factor. Yeah. And that was bad. It's amazing how much more I die when I'm not doing hardcore LU runs. Like I'm suddenly just so much less careful. Like so many more stupid decisions. But yeah, okay, so this is roughly the setup I normally use here. Smash those the instant they spawn. Go back and forth. Step back so I don't aggro anything that spawns over there. And why have I frozen? Okay. Froze didn't have too much an impact. I need to get those 2 bricks. So yeah, for anyone wondering why, I mean, I feel like I say this fairly regularly. For anyone wondering why I prioritize bricks, it's because you have a Wisply mission, which comes up later, which requires you 15 Maelstrom bricks, and if I can collect those now, I'm good for that mission. So that's why I normally prioritize in the early game. I normally collect the Maelstrom bricks around this mission, because you don't get any more fighting missions until after that Wisply mission. Well, you do, but it's survival, which doesn't drop Maelstrom bricks, so you have no routes for Maelstrom brick collection. So we just need to get up to 15, and then we are done here. So, like, for the Avant Gardens portion of this run, I am expecting this will go like a brute description. And for the Venture Explorer section, I guess. Although that has literally the one strat in it. Okay, so there's also the question of do we go all in an Avant Garden survival run? Because, like, it's possible to get really good times in Avant Garden survival pretty easily, fairly early game. Just honestly surprised by that recently. But the question is, does it get you anything which is worth the time you spend on it? So it might not. Ooh, so just a little bit of trivia from old Hardcore LU runs. Back when the Spiderlings AI was harder, this would be a very, very good, or not very, very good, but certainly a quite lucky run, because we got that one extra firecracker there. there's a low chance you get firecrackers as an avant-garden's drop, but they were nearly essential back in the old days to beating the Spider Queen and Deathless. Fortunately, it's become much easier since then as the AI was improved. Basically, from the points past which you could actually stun lock enemies. Previously, the strategy for beating the spider, it was interesting. There was kind of a primary and a secondary strategy. The primary strategy was all right, but required a bit of luck, and basically relied on them all spawning distances apart, where you could ensure you aggroed only one at a time. And then the backup strategy was you had to clump the enemies up, but this was before you could reset their attacks by you attacking them. You weren't able to interrupt their attacks. What that meant was that you would be fixed. The only way, basically, yeah, you were forced to, if you wanted to manipulate the enemy. So basically, what would happen is the Stromling, the Spiderlings have a pretty large range, and so what would happen is they would basically, once they got aggroed on you, you couldn't de-aggro them, and yeah, basically they were very difficult to deal with. Sorry, I'm thinking about what I do with this survival run as well. Hence the pausing. But yes, so yeah, what the strategy was for the Spiderlings was you had to get yourself, you had to either get lucky or you had to get yourself one of these. Now, firecrackers you can get at the end of Back Gardens, but you can't get it before then. You can only get them after you've beaten the Spider Queen, which is problematic if they are your strats to beating the Spider Queen. So basically what all runs had to rely on was getting lucky with firecracker drops. I think we're just demoing the survival loop. So if you've seen stuff I did previously, I used to have a loop which involved that top section of the map. The issue of that is that Spiderlings spawn there. Or Spiderlings will aggro to you, and Spiderlings are basically the only thing you actually need to worry about in survival. As long as you're able to keep running, Spiderlings should be the only difficulty you'll ever face. Oh yeah, so you see one spawns up at the top there. Get a clear view, but there you are. But as long as I don't aggro any Spiderlings, I can do this indefinitely. And I will, for now, just to get the achievements, see if they're kind of worth our time. Because everything in this is all about time. There's also the out of bounds strat, which is achievable from an early game. So you could do that, but that's... like, I don't see any reason why you would. This is... the reason why the out of bounds strat is potentially useful is once you get later game, it allows you to like set up a script and smash enemies. But like, I don't think setting up a script is going to be allowable in any speedrun categories anytime soon, because, well, that's just a task. But there's no real reason to have a task category when we don't have any tasking tools as a community. So basically, that's out. And yeah, so there's currently no real use aside from it just being cool to the Vanguard survival out of bounds. Well, I guess it's not a task run if you just sit outside. Well, The thing is, you couldn't even just sit out of bounds, because if you sat out of bounds, you would get kicked for inactivity. So there's a bit bad that you could do that for a high score, but you couldn't really. But yeah, so back to the Spiderlings and the Spider Queen boss. Basically, the strategy just used to be you wanted to get 6 firecrackers or 5 and hoped you were able to catch one of the Spiderlings on the first round on its own. Eventually that kind of became my default strat, because initially there were just 2 Spiderlings and I found I could somewhat reliably beat both of them. 2 Spiderlings, it was normally possible to find a place where you're out of bounds, where you're out of range of one but in range of the other. So yeah, that tended to be an option which was available. First hit. I wasn't actually paying attention, so I have no idea how that happened, but I assume I just took too tight a turn there, or didn't take a tight enough turn. Either one of those can cause me to get hit. But yeah, so what used to happen to Spiderlings is you used to have to, basically their different attacks, the only way of stunning them was having them attack. So what you had to do is you had to manipulate their attacks such that because you were always in range of them, they would always keep attacking whenever they could with their ranged attacks. So what you had to do is you had to manipulate them by giving them the opportunity to use a melee attack, which would get the one that was closer to you out of sync with the one that was further away from you. I am maybe taking these a little bit too tightly. Don't know if I can get those hedgehogs without aggroing anything. I mean, regardless, this is a more than sufficient demo. I could try something edgy. This is edgy. But I don't want us to be kicked down there. Okay. So all that taught me is that okay, I need to be a little bit more careful because I'm taking damage now and I shouldn't really be. Fortunately, that thing's enough to regenerate all the damage I was taking. Yeah, okay, so had I just come at building that from a different angle, I think I would have been fine. I think I need to take a larger loop here. I think that was what was causing the issues. But yeah, so the strats used to be you had to literally run up to them to try and get them to use their melee attacks on you, but then get out of range before they actually did use their attacks, because health's really, really a limiting factor. And yeah, that was an interesting time. But it used to be that if you got 6 firecrackers, you could ensure, because 3 firecrackers would be sufficient to smash all of them, and there are 2 waves of them, so 6 firecrackers used to mean you could clump the enemies up and take them out, in theory, entirely safely using firecrackers. Fortunately, none of those strats are necessary for hardcore you anymore. God. Because those were very, very difficult to pull off. So just swapped to using W and D rather than just W for my movement, just because it gives me a better sense of where everything is. But apparently that's not enough to keep me from taking damage. But we do know now that some of these places are places we can get health, which is good, without aggroing anything. It's very useful information to have. Less useful for you than do something like that. But yeah, coming up to Ultimate Survivor, I don't think there's another achievement after this. If there is, we will see it, so we'll find out, and then we'll just get a sense, hopefully after this, as to whether or not any of this has been worth it. These being more or less nice and easy strats to do early game. I am literally just running in a circle. Now, yeah, all of this happens from the fact that just from the artistic / immersion standpoint, to make it look nicer, all the enemies spawn off to the sides. They don't just spawn within the battlefield, pretty much anyway. Which means that you can muck around with the fact they all have a finite aggro radius. Aside from even the strongman mechs do, their aggro radius, whilst finite, is just absolutely huge. So I don't think there's anything after Ultimate Survivor. No, there isn't. So I'm just gonna do what would be, if it worked, a funny tech demo, but it won't, so it's fine. So there we are. Time achieved. So question, is it worth it for the early game? We are currently on, okay, so that took us 10 minutes and we're on 495. You score. Okay. So let's see how much we got from that, because you don't get the achievements until after you've completed the minigame. Dang, that's some good water. I mean, it's just tap water, but... No, I shouldn't do this, because if I do this, I'm going to get an extra achievement. Okay, so 75 use score. And 125. 200 use score, plus... one weapon I can't use. But it's a good weapon, but it's 25. That's going to be a while. Exceptional Morning Star. So maybe it's worth just going for the 5 minutes on that. Although I don't know if this is sunk cost fallacy, but okay, so what was that? Exceptional Morning Star. Minutes of AGS. I think it's probably the easiest good early game weapon, I feel like. The question is, do you need a good early game? Yeah, what do you... Because you don't actually... Okay, it's probably not worth it. It's only useful if you actually want to deal single target, because whatever we go for, like faction weapon wise, I think it's going to be a 1-2-2 or a 1-1-2. But we will be using that because, at the very least, if we're Space Ranger, that will be our default will be our faction weapon because of its utility, and because it lets you fight clumps of enemies. And we won't be fighting anything with our own weapons until after we've gotten faction gear, because we fight both the Spiderlings and the Spider Queen, which are the only required fights. We fight both of them with trial faction gear, which, just for what it's worth, is seriously overpowered. Like the gear, I was doing some research on item cooldowns the other day, and yeah, the item the cooldown. So when basically I found what I assumed initially to be rank 4, be some like trial rank 4 faction gear, because I just found this stuff which looked like rank 2 faction gear, but which had like all the stats of, which had significantly higher stats, and I just assumed that's probably test faction gear. Later realised, no, those were all proxy items. The reason why they came up without a name was because they're proxy items, which means they are items which you never see in your inventory, but which are loaded onto your character. An example of this is two-handed weapons, where you only equip one item in your inventory, and it equips automatically a proxy weapon, which perhaps gives you the ability. I think it's normally the on-hand is the item, and the off-hand is the proxy, I think. But in the case of trial faction gear, the on-hand item is also proxy. Actually, maybe both of the items proxy, as I don't know exactly how it is that works. Actually, no, proxy items are when there are multiple items equipped. When there are items in multiple slots all equipped simultaneously. But yeah, so maybe it's not worth. And the thing is, once you get to the Forbidden Valley and starting the Forbidden Valley quest chain, you don't need 222 isn't good anymore, because you get the hammer very, very quickly. And that's what, 223, 233? I think it might be 233. And so the real question is just, so all right, basically, we have a method of getting 200 use score in 10 minutes, and we might as well do that whilst we're in this area of Avant Gardens if we're going to do it at 8 points. I think that's basically the summary there. But we might as well do it whilst we're... If it turns out that is a good time investment, then we might as well do it whilst we're here. I never really think about optimizing this, actually. I wonder if it might be optimal to go for, like, Space Ranger, because maybe you can clump up these guys and take out multiple at once. Fig on Fire isn't enough to kill something. It does have slightly better DPS, I think, but I don't think that's worth it. Yeah. Not angry. I also don't know if it's really worth doing the standard clumping up enemy strats in here. Like, is it just worth going... Is it not just worth going full speed ahead? Because honestly, you don't know how many enemies you're going to have to clump up to get these. You might have to get, like, if you want to be safe, maybe something like 8. So... So is it just worth going full DPS? I mean, this definitely isn't full DPS. If you want to go full DPS, then honestly, it might well still be Venture League for full DPS. Oh, no, I should. Okay, this is time loss, but I'm not being timed, so not really time loss. But I forgot to get the heart flag in here. Definitely need to get that. Well, you don't need to, but given we're doing a test on how worth it the heart flags are, would be remiss of us to, you know, not get all the heart flags. So might as well re-equip up some items. Just here. Don't think I'm dead, probably. No, I'm not. Good to know. Okay. And there's not really much point to re-equipping stuff. So we're not gonna... Because, like, literally we are just re-equipping it for the sake of walking through this one area. Which, had I not been messing around with the equipping stuff, I would have had more health for anyway. Actually, this might be one of the very, very rare times I die to the monuments. Because if I'm not careful and I run into a laser, that will actually kill me. It's quite a rarity. No, you are not the... No, I do not need to talk with. Okay, 15 you score. 15 you score. It is like a 10-second mission. I don't think there's a way to cutscene skip this. I'm fairly certain we agreed as a community there aren't any cutscene skips. Like smashing your character doesn't actually... Smashing your character doesn't skip you out of this. I am stunned in this. Okay. That's interesting. I have been meaning to look into things which can automatically... I've been meaning to look into things which can stun the character, but will. Specifically, which can stun the character, say, during charge-ups and stuff like that. That, however, can stun me during a charge-up. That's not possible. Or at least not during most charge-ups, because most charge-ups have the property that they prevent interactions. Things. Specifically, from the second you begin pressing and holding, you enter, you get stunned with a stun that still allows you to potentially move and stuff like that, but which prevents you from interacting with other things. Which is why you can't build something whilst you're in a spinjitzu attack, for instance. So this is the fast route for... I'm just going to do standard monument fast strats. Well, I don't know if I want to do standard monument fast strats do not include missing that. I don't know if I want to do exactly standard, because, I mean, we do want to also pick up... Oh, yes, you can go around the side there. You probably do just want to smash that, just for the sake of getting stuff faster. So yeah, I think I'm just going to take roughly the standard route. I'm trying to think, because this is something I haven't planned out. I'm now no longer taking the standard route. I'm going to muscle memory. So the standard route for completing all the missions is to build that. Is to just do what I'm doing without the backtracking, because I forget what it is I'm demonstrating. The standard route for these missions looks something like this. Yeah, for some reason that one doesn't stun you. No idea why. Or at least... I don't know why. You don't have to press the button. It's unnecessary to do so. Smashing those is also unnecessary, but just gets them out of your way. Okay, so I think if there's any point to get the flags, it's during this. Because here you have quite a lot of freedom with where you go, and you might need to go multiple places anyway. So I think this will be where we get flags, and if we're getting flags, you can get the imagination brick in the same route and doesn't lose you any time. I don't think, actually. I made this route a long, long time ago. There is a video of it somewhere on the main channel, I think. It's one of my... Well, that's bad. So you're meant to make that jump. This is a backup strat in case you don't. Down here. You should have more imagination by this stage. Well, you shouldn't necessarily already have some, but you shouldn't have used the Thirst Quench, you should have used the Nourishing Potion. I didn't really need to actively go on my way there to get that one, and That was just a time loss, given I will get multiple more on the way, but... I think the only one we've got left to get... Wow, I'm bad. It's the one off the road. Honestly, this was a pretty efficient route of getting these. I mean, so I know that that route is the most efficient for getting hearts and imagination. Don't know if it was going to be the best in general. It depends on whether or not we backtrack to get the speedy cap. I feel like the speedy cap's almost certainly worth it. If it is, then we could get the flag when we come for this. When we come for the speedy cap, because the speedy cap requires us jumping off the road anyway. Here would be where I would use quick schools. Had I bought any, I would use them to just jump over there, which is a possible jump. Quick school strats. Or okay, there are faster quick school strats, but I'm not consistent at them. So just make a note. Flags, doing birds, plus maybe alright. So they got us what, 20 use score, not hugely worth it in terms of use score, and we're not really going to be... Health isn't going to be a huge limitation, I don't expect. Like, there are strats to beat basically every enemy we'll be coming across, and we'll be getting Space Ranger gear, which is more or less invincible if you're doing it right. So, yeah, you can be very, very, very safe with Space Ranger gear, basically. So, yeah. I think for DPS we probably want this. So if you want a small time save to be made here, don't start that mission, start the fight, and go back to accept that mission during the first phase of the fight. So, okay, for speed, you do want to have this gear equipped. Don't think. Friggin' fire can't hurt, can it? Okay, so now's when you would go up there and accept that mission. Now I'm just going to do that and that. Useful later on. Or at least has the potential to be. Seems I may be wrong. Yeah, so you could in theory go through the first stage of that with just the exceptional morning start. You could get the mission during that small delay while the spy things were spawning in. I don't think it's worth it, though. Gotta check whether or not it's possible to smash those. Okay, I may have to just return to Spider Queen battle today and just test that out. Bad. Let's just get that. Nice. Yeah, so see, you get the 4 hits in, so this is almost certainly the best DPS thing we could have at this stage, and also it's ranged, so we can stand back here and avoid the double shot. Which means we get hit rarely enough that we don't need to really worry about health at any point, which is always nice. So, just for a little bit more efficiency, I believe I want to get models up for this first off, and then once I've completed this mission, I want to go back to the main tab. Okay, so one of the things you can do is you can just pick up and put it down repeatedly. I guess actually doesn't matter what tab you're on, does it? Oh no, you need to pick up. Yeah, so I should have changed back to this tab. Just so I could then put that. Pick up, rotate, put away. Definitely hit the rotate button. There we are. So that should just be a one type hitting 115, but maybe you need to declined. Oh. Really didn't think I hit that. Clearly I did. So I feel like once we get a faction gate, it would be worth going back and just testing. Going back, doing the fight again, and seeing whether or not we can prevent the spiderlings spawning. Because from the second you attack one of the statues, it prevents you attacking again, or at least it seems to. You notice the colour of its health changes, and that corresponds to it being changed into a faction which you're no longer an enemy of, as it sees it. Okay, so I guess if you're doing this properly, what you should do at this stage, rather than going here, is you should have bought at least one Quixocle. If you're trying to be as fast as possible, I guess you probably want to get 2 Quixocles early on in Avant Gardens, because you're going to need to. You're going to need to maybe 3. No, I think only 2. And that's just to get across, to get from the monument to the road quickly. Like, even if we're not using Quixocles all of this time, that's a point where it's definitely worth it to use them. Yeah. And yeah, there's just the question of how much time do I spend walking from place to place, and would it be worth the speed up to just buy Quixocles? And if so, how many Quixocles would I have to buy? So what, 45? That can't be right. My mind says 45 seconds of speed per Quixocle. That's definitely wrong. Surely. Because that seems way too close, but the espresso is 2 minutes, which is... Don't remember the times. Top of my head. It's just the fastest way of completing that mission. Just drag out your existing rocket. Done. I still stand by the fact that I want a server-side mod which just has a 50% chance of you failing that mission. If I'm just saying, nah, you can do better. And making you try again. So, you know, beauty is subjective. That was technically a little bad when it landed on that slope. So yeah, there are some general rules for movement in LU. Ideally, you want to, at all times when you're going uphill, be double jump. You want to basically avoid landing on uphill slopes, and you want to maximize landing on downhill slopes. So you want to single jump, downhill, double jump, uphill, but you also want to time your jumps fairly well. You want to land on as many downward slopes as possible because that gets you extra speed. So like ideally there, I would have landed on that. I didn't quite, but ideally that's what you want to aim for. And you want to jump as soon as you hit whatever it is, for actually a couple of reasons. The most interesting one of them being that if you walk off something with a certain slope, then you can your character will be put into like basically an uncontrolled falling state, where you have reduced acceleration, so you move a little bit more slowly. Again, that's a little bit inefficient by me there. So I'm not currently getting the heart flag, getting the backpack flags here. It doesn't feel worth it. Not that I've actually checked, but I think what we'll do is we'll go through all of the kind of default / necessary missions, and then we'll take a look at how much use score we have to make up after that. See, yeah, how much of the quest chain. Because there are certain parts of the quest chain which I think we can say are more or less necessary. I mean, there are certain parts we can definitely say are necessary, like faction gear. I think the basic quest chains for, at the very least for Gnarled Forest, you need... Okay, so, yeah, for the very least for Gnarled Forest, you do need... quest chain. Actually, okay, technically you don't need the quest chain to access certain areas. Sorry, and I'm not thinking about where I'm going. Technically in both Gnarled Forest and Forbidden Valley, I found out-of-bound strategies, but it's faster, I think, in both instances. At the very least, it's certainly faster in Gnarled Forest. Just do ignore them. Just do it the intended way. Because you get stuff from complete missions. Okay, which is it? Sentinel Adventure League. I'm going with Space Ranger. I think that's the best play. Just for utility. I forget. Okay, what I should have gone for there was gone for Space Marauder, because I forget whether or not Space Marauder has the same utility as. Well, it certainly has some of the same utility. No, sorry. I know there's certain utility Space Ranger has that Space Marauder doesn't have. I think there is a lot of overlap between the utilities. So I think, but I'm not 100% certain, they both have effectively the same stun. If they do, and honestly, there are a lot of times where if you've got the stacking properly good. Now, I guess that, so in a hardcore you run, I technically messed up slightly there because it's faster to just sell all your equipment and buy. Okay, so I wasn't really thinking. Yeah, it's faster to sell all your equipment and to buy one of those Sentinel Super Blades, whatever they're called. Obviously, in an actual run, you want to be doing this whilst running, but I'm not in an actual run, so fight me. I really want to sell some stuff soon, but it's fine. I don't have to do that yet. Alright, so where do we go from here? I'm running this way by default, but I think this is the right move. So what we want to do is we want to get as many of our missions to be happening in the same place at the same time as possible, and we can get... Is there a particular order? Okay, so I think what maybe I should have done is I should have gone... I should maybe have gone... No, I don't think I should go back to Mardolf. Okay, so I'm going to go back and do what I should have done right away, which is get the speedy cap. I think then I go Nexus Tower, complete the missions up until the Crux mission there, then from Nexus, so that will then tell me to go to Gnarled Forest in order to get to Crux. Before Gnarled Forest, I go to Pet Cove, I go via Mardolf the Orange. I guess I don't technically need to do that first. It doesn't really matter too much when I do it, but basically for the task of getting the stuff for the Water Sprayer, because that's just a free mission which we can more or less get on the way. I guess when I'm down for the Johnny Thunder mission earlier, I should get party pants, if they're available, before you pick up the Milo Snack Pigeon mission. That's on the list. Are there any? I guess we might as well check if there are any missions here. Not going to do those for now. I'm going to stick to stuff which I think is almost certainly in it, and then we can work out what extra missions we need and put those in then. I think that's... and like work out how to most efficiently fit in all the extra use score we need once we've done the stuff which seems like it's probably necessary. I'm just trying to heuristic my way towards a solution here. Yeah, so then this would be when we'd be getting that final heart flag. Oh yeah, and remember, deal you has the weird bug where you have to use an item. So yeah, this would be where I get the heart flag. And that's a... Oh, I forgot the quest chain. I forgot how this works, dang it. That was really dumb. Don't go down there yet. Seems like later jumps are better there, which is something I never actually tested. So yeah, we just build this. Don't go down there. All wrong. It's me being dumb. But it's fine, because we then have... also, note the FOV change. Just interesting. But, yeah, okay, so now we go down and do it. And we're doing all of this for the sake of getting the speedy cap. Okay, so now would be when we get that, and ideally you want to land on the side like I did last time and not like I did that time, because that just gets you that little bit extra speed. Oh, bad. And this is, as I say, this isn't the fastest route up the monument, but this is my standard route. So that's what I'm going to go with. And it's more than good enough. I mean, technically, I only actually want a silver time anyway. Okay, so property missions, crash helmet, can't be done single player, you. Nope. Unless... I don't think they have to be on another player's property. How many do you want? 5 lucky treasures. How many properties do we have? We get so we get Blockyard, but we've already gotten that. We don't have to go back there. Then we get Avant Grove. Then we get Chanty Shanty, Raven's Bluff. No, more than that, aren't there? What? What am I forgetting? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so you actually... We could get that, and then if we did complete all the property missions, we could do this on one of each of those, because I was forgetting the 2 in Nimber Station. I don't think that's a horrible idea. The issue is this does involve us backtracking to Avant Gardens. So, okay, I'm going to leave that on hold for now and not do it. Because we could fit this in. There will be a necessary backtrack later on for the main quest chain. So it's this Swampy Bilge Barrel. Okay. I don't think anyone else says any interesting. For me, the whole question is whether or not Return to Adventure Explorer is going to be worth it. I forget how much XP you get from those missions, but I mean, I'm fairly certain we're not going to get to level 30, but I want to see how close we get doing what I think are the necessary missions, and then, yeah, we'll just add missions on top of that. It could be Return to Adventure Explorer is really good for that. I don't know. So I'm just going to check whether or not party pants exist before you have the opportunity, before you've spoken to Milo. I don't remember if they do or not. And also, let's go back here. Might as well equip that. It's not a great speed boost, but better than nothing. That's not worth. It is an infinite imagination restore, but that's only worth it, I guess, when I'm maybe just before I interact with someone. I don't know when the stun turns off for interactions. Ignore this vendor, he's not quite accurate. Party pants, okay. So you do want to get party pants. Okay, so on your first time down here, you do want to get those. Oh, thing I've got to check out. Something which I should have known. Wait, why are they... Do those just reload on a regular basis, or am I hitting a trigger? They reload on a regular basis. Wow. Okay. So I have never known how to do those. And it turns out they just reload and it's literally just a timing game. I have seriously spent so long on these. Concerned about that guy despawning, if I'm honest. I guess it'll be interesting to see whether or not these get out of sync. Whether or not each one of those respawns on a timer. Yeah, okay, so that one is going to despawn before we get this one, I think. But they are now out of sync. Okay. It's interesting to know. So you could, in theory, then let's just see. So are these all gonna? Those are all still basically in sync because I was smashing them at basically the same time. So I think what I want to do. Okay, I think I do that. I think if I want to get, I think this should get everything back in sync. So this should just be at the state it was before I came and messed it up. Then I think what I want to do is I want to run through everything, smash everything once with a slight delay between each one. I think. Okay, I'm hoping this returns and is in sync. It does. I'm not going to smash that. Just because I want to get these all back how I want them. Come on. Okay, and they're all respawning the right thing. So, I want to get these. I want to have these all be more or less in sync. So I think I'm just gonna wait. Do I want? I guess no. Okay, I'll just go. So, to build, smash. Wait a second to build, smash. Wait a second to build, smash. I have no idea if they always respawn on the same thing by default. That can make things difficult. I have no idea if these quick builds have the same or different respawn timers. It may just be faster to, once we've been to Ninjago, to spring jump up there, if you're a single player. No, it will be faster, whether or not it's worth it, I don't know. Why are they going in that order? What? So confused. The idea was I did that to get everything in sync. So that's gonna actually have happened now. Oh, wait, that might be an option though. No, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Okay, but maybe we can just smash them, then go through and build. But they'll respawn by the time we do that, won't they? No, well, two of them. Maybe we can do two at a time. That might work. Okay. So are they now going through in order? Surely not. So I haven't just managed to by chance get that. No, they're just going through completely out of order. That's not bad. Okay, we're going to go for the lasers. Okay, no, smash you. Good. Build you. Right, time. Build you. Give me just a bit more. Okay. I'll wait for this one to get lasers. Hope they don't despawn. Come on. I think we're good. Despite how scuffed that was, I think we're going to get that. There we are. Okay, so that's a viable strategy there. So you don't... Okay, that's good to know. So, okay, we also want to... If we are going to go back... We're backtracking to AG, then we want to talk to Peppy. I feel like Skedaddle's just worth it. C3. Oops, C3 1. Because that is 30 U score just nearly instantly. Similarly, I think Bjorn is worth it. Because we're not going to be spending much time in back gardens outside of this. So, what does it want? Is it blue? Or just a guitar? Okay. So I think that's still bugged. I think technically you should have to smash yourself to get out of that. Okay. Is it worth getting this mission? But no forest. Wait, do you need to do... Oh, okay, interesting. You have to do that before... Okay, possibly not. Because that requires us running all the way back to the start of Avant Gardens. I'm very, very pleased to have that strap down for getting that imagination brick. That's very good. So, next we want to... rush the Crux Prime quest chain. Yeah, I wonder if it's actually going to turn out that, like, all of the 45 U score missions are worth picking up, just because, whilst 45 U score isn't a lot, if you can get that within a few seconds, it's worth it. Or, like, on your way somewhere, if you can get that, then it's worth it. That could well be the case. But yes, we definitely... we are going to want to get to Crux Prime at some point. Because the reason why I'm not concerned about money in this is because I know how easy it is to get large amounts of money quite quickly at Crux Prime. And also, it's a good way of getting some faction tokens. So this is one of the things which is going to vary depending on whether or not you're actually doing a real-time run. Like what or how the run's timed. If it's in game time, your strats in Crux Prime are going to differ hugely from real time, because enemies respawn on like a 15-minute timer, or the named enemies respawn on a 15-minute timer in Crux Prime, and they are worth a lot in terms of money and faction tokens. I mean, they're not worth an absolutely huge amount in faction tokens, but they are more efficient than basically anything else you're going to find. Well, I'm going that way, idiots. Yeah, so normally I'm offended. I was even intentionally trying to get these for a change. Look at me being very meek and shy and not running through the middle of the hologram as I normally do. Wait, why did... So I just, what? Okay. Okay, apparently my, HDMI cable is very dubious. I guess this might be the only time it's worth having this slightly higher damage weapon. This might be the only thing it's worth for the absolutely minuscule time save you get here. It's what, 25 damage. And what I always enjoy doing is getting back to here before the timer's timed out. I don't think I normally do this. So can I get... There we are. So you can be talking to him whilst you complete the mission. Interesting, and that actually just completes it. I didn't know that would work like that. So it just notices the fact you've accepted. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Because here's the thing. You can... I guess I really don't need to do it, do I? Right, because I'm... No, that's annoying. Okay, I'll go to Nexus Naomi and test this out quickly. Some potential strat there. Okay, so she gets the question mark. Now... just double check, but I think... Okay, no, it's a description, it's not the actual mission dialogue. That's a shame. How much should I get for this? I mean, worth it, yes, but I will save that for later, as it's technically non-essential. Technically, I've probably got a tiny amount of use score from speaking to her, but there's going to be variation between runs. This is just a first pass, so I'm not too concerned about that. Ninja speed drop there. I hit that. Me being slightly salty. Is it worth it to get the imagination brick? Again, I won't. That's something we can add into the route later. Because it's interesting, like, this, what I'm trying to do isn't actually to find, like, the fastest route between 2 points, or at least not physical sense of being between 2 points. I guess what you could... Ooh, that could be kind of funny. It wouldn't work, but you could almost do Dijkstra on the skill tree. Like, have the target... I know, maybe not. There's a Dijkstra as a traditional route finding algorithm. I was wondering if you could parameterize the quest chains in such a way that you could use that as standard route finding algorithm. I don't think you can, though. Wow, bad. Technically, you can go behind the back of that pillar there. And that's the faster route up to here, if I recall correctly, anyway. But I forgot to. You get up there with a speed boost? Probably not. I'm really interested in what would happen if you completed a task where you have multiple reward options. So we saw before, if you complete a task with a single reward option, then whilst you're in the dialogue, then when you accept the dialogue even asking you about that mission, it would treat that as you having accepted dialogue over accepted the mission rewards. I'm wondering if you could do anything like that. So I mean, it wouldn't work server side, but it might break something server side, which could always be funny. If you could pull a similar trick where there are multiple possible rewards or something. I think that's doable. Certainly if you're assembly, it might have to be in a different world. But I think there are probably... I'm fairly certain there are some Smash enemy missions. And so the constraints are you need to have a Smash enemy mission and you would need to be in the same world as the mission giver. You get daily faction missions, which are the choice of rewards, but they're in different worlds. Normally, but what I'm wondering if there's one in Avant Gardens where you could smash that number of enemies. I wonder what about even something like picking up an item from the ground, if you could interact with the mission giver before you'd actually picked up the item, i.e. via disconnect abusing. Might as well give my favourite vendor some business. Probably not the usual spring shoe swords. I don't think I need those for anything. Nothing springs to mind anyway. Much that like the card shark shirt and the monument shirt. I actually don't care about the monument shirt. I did care about the card shark shirt, kind of. Can I delete it? No, I can't. Shame. I wonder if it's possible to get a necessary quest item sent to your mail and softlock yourself out of a particular quest with that. Something I haven't tried. I've spent a little bit of time looking at soft locks and seeing what kinds of things are possible, but that's not... Don't need you. I'm assuming... Don't actually know what stats this has. Yeah, I was assuming that had at least one imagination on armor. And I'm just going to call I won't need this. But you won't need you. And as much as this pains me, because it's a challenge run, I'll also get rid of you. Unnecessary speed boosts 101. I seem to recall I did something weird last time with the orb. Oh yeah, I got myself smashed whilst in the orb. That was fun. I wonder if I can just do it with this. Because this does require... Okay. Disconnect, smash, reconnect. Fairly certain this doesn't get me out of it. Got to be out of it in any way, shape or form. I really don't care. I see this as an absolute win. Wait a second, did I get... I might have to do that again. Sorry, I'm going to see if I can do that without the disconnect. Just by doing that. So I definitely did click rebuild early. Okay, so I can't access help menu food. But I am... I'm not stunned? Oh! Oh wait, that's interesting actually. So what's kind of interesting is that it only plays the respawn animation. Then, but that's... So wait a second, I die... Whilst I'm in the cutscene, I get respawned. I mean, so that's useful. That means in theory you could, whilst you're in the cutscene, actually continue. Does that hold for other things? Other cutscenes? I guess that's not something I've ever really tried. Okay, where do I normally respawn? I never actually tested anything like this. So normally I respawn... Yeah, okay, facing that's cool. Let's just see what happens. If I do this, and now I'm going to rebuild, so I'm going to start moving. I guess I wasn't in there long enough, maybe? That wasn't a long enough cutscene. Anyway, that's interesting. That's interesting, because... that suggests that smashing yourself is actually a plausible way of getting out of stuns. Which is interesting. And I mean, in theory, if you memorize the exact set of inputs and stood yourself in exactly the right position... What if you just did this? I guess you would always be respawned over there. But if you did just memorize the inputs, you could, in theory, get all the way back to Vanda whilst in the cutscene, or maybe even re-trigger the cutscene, or do something stupid like trigger these. That's interesting. I'm trying to think about the long cutscenes now, and none are springing to mind directly. I mean, okay, one springing to mind, it's the Garmadon cutscene, but I'm not going all the way there. For cutscene I can only trigger once. And also it's a cutscene that there's good reason to assume it's handled in the same way. I feel like some of your AG cutscenes, maybe. But yeah, abusing smashing yourself isn't something I've ever thought about or looked at before. It's interesting. Okay, should have jumped slightly later there, but that's fine. That was the way of going around the back, which I said was faster. Pick up that mission, because I probably will just complete it either in day-to-day going about my business, or I won't use that. Wait a second. And that mission from you, okay. That was the wrong decision. That's the right decision if I want to get to Gnarled Forest, but I forgot that I probably want to get to Pet Cove. I wonder what happens if you smash yourself right before. Like, what happens if you smash yourself really late? Because if you smash yourself whilst you're holding your rocket, waiting for the rocket to launch, and that doesn't do anything interesting. I'm almost 100% certain, yeah, you definitely can't get to Pet Cove from in here. I guess technically maybe this might still actually be faster as a way of getting to Pet Cove, especially if we discount loading screen times. Okay, it doesn't spawn you in what I hoped it might, so no, it won't be faster. Well, at least accounting for loading screen times, it won't be faster. Maybe without them, it might be slightly faster, given you don't really have to walk anywhere at all. Yeah, I guess maybe it's not necessarily... If we're saying heart flags aren't necessarily worth it, maybe it's not worth going to Pet Cove before Gnarled Forest, in which case that would be a faster route. I feel like I feel like, for instance, though, I feel you want to be able to tame pets for stuff like the skeleton dragon in Crux Prime. Although whether or not you go that far into Spinjitzu questioning, but the thing is, we need to use score from somewhere. I feel like surely this is necessary. I don't think you can just get enough use score simply from grinding the faction tokens. Maybe that's what I do then, though. Maybe we do head somewhere simply for faction tokens. Well, there we have the perfect example of a long cutscene I should be trying to skip. Which I completely forgot to skip. I'm assuming that would probably been saved with the server that I saw that. That's annoying. Because I would have to, in order to test that again. Okay, let's add that to the list for future times. Let's see. Cutscene. Yeah. I mean, this isn't... When I've got imagination, this isn't wrong. Didn't really pay much attention to what I was clicking there, if I'm honest. So do I need pet digging as well. And there's, okay, I need pet digging, and that is... And there's a dog tag up here, so it makes sense that I do this whole mission, I think. The jump that's ended far more of my hardcore new runs than I like to admit. Yeah, that's worth it. I mean, technically that's worth it, assuming that we end up needing use score, but we're not gonna be. We're not gonna be high on use score by the end of this. Like old hardcore U runs that took a similar route would more or less just have level 15 by the time we made it to Crux Prime. It's a similar route so far. They did basically the minimum it took to get you to Crux Prime. I don't care about the mission, I don't think. $20 use score on that's a somewhat time-consuming mission. But you do complete several. Why am I here? That's what you get for not thinking. I'm trying to say it's this one. That might be that one. Forget. It's that one, okay. Okay, guess this comes under 3 use score. It's 30 use score for me, doing basically nothing. Doing literally nothing and I'm running off, that's worth it. Although, yeah, seriously, 30 use score is so little compared to what we end up needing. But interestingly, that's more than taming all of the pets. Also, well, okay, not all of the pets. It's more than taming 7 pets. But yeah, I might call that here then. We'll continue on this some later date. Thank you for watching.